If you've ever been involved with a business that sells, well, anything physical, you know this feeling. It's this constant nagging challenge, a puzzle that's never quite solved, a balancing act that can literally make or break a company. Today, we're going to dig into what I like to call the Goldilocks problem of inventory. So let's jump right in. The question every single inventory manager wakes up with is pretty simple, but the answer is anything but. Do we risk having too much stuff on the shelves or too little? Because as you're about to see, getting it just right is the hardest and most important part. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's like you're on a seesaw and you're trying to stay perfectly balanced. Tip too far one way and you've got way too much inventory. That's a slow financial bleed, right? You're paying for storage, your cash is tied up in boxes, and that stuff might just go out of style. But if you tip the other way and have too little, well, that's an immediate disaster. We're talking lost sales, angry customers, and your whole production line might just grind to a halt. To really see how to solve this, let's look at a real-world story. It's all about a super high-stakes promise between an office supply manufacturer and a massive discount retailer. You know, the kind of customer you absolutely cannot afford to lose. And when I say high stakes, I mean it. The deal was totally clear. If the manufacturer ever failed to deliver exactly what was ordered on time, they'd get hit with a huge financial penalty. So we're not talking about just an angry email here. This was a direct hit to their bottom line. So how in the world do you find that perfect, just right balance when the penalties are so high? Well, the answer isn't about gut feelings or just guessing. It's about using data to predict the future. And here's the really clever part. Instead of gambling with their actual business, they built a digital twin of their entire supply chain. Basically, a super detailed computer model. This thing could simulate a whole year of business. Every sale, every production run, every shipment, all in a fraction of the time. It let them test out different strategies with zero real-world risk. Now, this simulation wasn't just some make-believe computer game. Nope, it was fueled by actual real-world data. They took the daily sales numbers from 37 of the retailer's stores and saw a pretty clear pattern, what a statistician would call a normal distribution. On an average day, the retailers sold about 180 cartons, give or take 30. That right there, that's the engine that makes this whole simulation run. So with this powerful model ready to go, they realized the entire complex system really boiled down to just two critical dials, two magic numbers that, if they could set them just right, would make everything run smoothly. Okay, dial number one is the reorder point. This is all about the retailer's warehouse. When their stock on hand drops to this very specific number, it sends an automatic signal to the manufacturer. You can just think of it as the retailer's computer yelling, "Hey, time to send more." And this number, 460 cartons, wasn't just pulled out of thin air. It was calculated with some serious precision. So why 460? It was just enough to cover 2 full days of sales with 99% certainty. This gave the retailer a super safe buffer, so they'd pretty much never run out while waiting for the next truck to arrive. Now for the second dial, this one's called the production cutoff point, and it's for the manufacturer. It's pretty simple. If their own inventory in their warehouse is above this number, they can take a day off from production to save some cash. It's basically their internal signal saying, all right, we've got enough for now. We can take a breather. So with that first dial, the reorder point, locked in place, they turned all their attention to the second one. And this set the stage for what was basically a simulation showdown, a head-to-head battle between two completely different strategies. The test was really simple and elegant. They kept that reorder point locked at 460 cartons. The only thing they changed was the manufacturer's production cutoff point. You know, it's classic scientific method, right? Change one thing at a time and see what happens. And here are the two big ideas they tested. Strategy number one was the lean approach. They set that cutoff point pretty low at 380 cartons to try and keep their own inventory as minimal as possible. Strategy number two was the safe approach. They set it way higher at 660 cartons, creating a much bigger safety net for themselves. So they hit go on the simulation. They ran a full year of virtual business for both strategies. The results came in. And, well, they were definitely not what you might expect. Okay, so first, the good news. From the retailer's point of view, everything looked amazing. With that reorder point set at 460, both the lean strategy and the safe strategy worked like a charm. The retailer almost never ran out of stock. Lost sales were practically zero. So far, so good, right? But that's only half the story. Because behind the scenes, back at the manufacturer's warehouse, one of these strategies was quietly but consistently falling apart. And here it is, the knockout punch, the safe strategy with that big 660 carton buffer. It had a perfect record, zero incomplete shipments. But the lean strategy? Oh man, it failed to fully complete an average of almost 69 shipments a year. Think about that. That's more than one broken promise to their customer every single week. So let's just lay it all out. The lean strategy. Yeah, it meant less inventory for the manufacturer, which on paper sounds great. But it also meant breaking your promise to your customer almost 70 times a year. The safe strategy meant holding more inventory, sure, but it also meant that 100% of shipments were perfect. All of a sudden, the choice becomes crystal clear. And in the end, management's decision was a no-brainer. This quote really says it all. They were more than willing to accept a larger inventory at their own warehouse in order to better satisfy the customer. They chose reliability over pinching every last penny. And that really brings us to the big takeaway from this whole story. The extra cost of holding a little more inventory? It was a tiny price to pay to keep a huge, critical customer perfectly supplied and totally happy. It wasn't just a cost, it was an investment in that relationship. And this whole thing leaves us with a much bigger question, doesn't it? I mean, this story was about office supplies, but this applies to any business anywhere. So what's the real cost of a dissatisfied customer? What's the real cost of a broken promise?